So, hello class. Let's start the next lecture of the same P block elements. Last day we had a discussion about some basic phenomena, concepts related to the periodical trends of P block as the oxidation number, the availability of d orbitals in the some of the elements and some of the in phosphorus and arsenic, antimony and bismuth, and some property which is actually going to deviate because of that availability of d orbitals and unavailability of d orbitals. So let's discuss one by one some more properties related to the same nitrogen family, like electronegativity, ionization behavior, ionic size, especially atomic size. So this is some general periodical trends that has to be learned before going to the some more chemical properties trend in the same group. Class, actually there are three different oxidation number majorly shown by the elements, that is -3. That is actually -3, +3 and +5. Nitrogen does not show +5. Antimony and bismuth majorly show +3 and +5. And +3 is more stable in antimony and bismuth case than +5. The lower oxidation number, this is actually, remember a point, the lower oxidation number in whole P block elements always become more stable down the group. Always become more stable down the group, the lower oxidation number in the periodic table in P block. So same way, the antimony and bismuth having a more stable oxidation number, the +3 than +5. In the case of nitrogen, the -3 is more stable because of the most non-metallic property in the group. But when we move towards the phosphorus and arsenic, the +3 and +5 also become more stable comparatively nitrogen because of availability of d orbitals, so they can expand their octet. But you have to be learned that nitrogen also shows some of the intermediate oxidation number, like +1, +2, +4, +1, +2 and +4. The oxidation number of nitrogen is actually -3, +1, +2, +3, +4. These are called intermediate oxidation number. These are called intermediate oxidation number. If the element has some stable oxidation number along with intermediate oxidation number, always element going for disproportionate in their intermediate oxidation number. Same way nitrogen or phosphorus, the intermediate oxidation number become disproportionate in their reaction. For example, suppose we have an example like nitrous acid. We have an example like nitrous acid. Look at the oxidation number of nitrous acid. It has actually disproportionate into nitrogen dioxide and water. You can balance the reaction. This nitrous acid having the oxidation number is, in nitrous acid oxidation number is plus 3. Oxidation number is plus 3, na? Oxidation number is plus 3. In nitrogen, in nitric acid, plus 5. And in nitrogen dioxide, sorry, nitric oxide, plus 2. Disproportionate means when one oxidation number of any element going for oxidation as well as reduction simultaneously in the same reaction. The same element changes into the two different oxidation numbers. So whenever the element having an intermediate oxidation number, there is a possibility to going for a disproportionate and simultaneously oxidation and reduction both occur by the same element. Like in nitrogen, same way the phosphorus in the case of plus 3 also going for disproportionation. Phosphorus in plus 3 oxidation number, because phosphorus change into the minus 3 and phosphorus change into the plus 5. The example is phosphorus acid. The example is phosphorus acid. You are knowing the acid, no? You are knowing the acid. Formula of phosphorus acid is S3PO3. S3PO3. The phosphorus acid actually disproportionate into phosphoric and phosphine. Phosphoric acid and phosphine. Look at the reaction. The phosphorus with plus 3 oxidation number changes into, I think, plus 5 and minus 3. This is also an example of disproportionation reaction. Disproportionation reactions are the most important example from the P block chapter, because the board need to ask why elements are going for this type of reaction. So you have to be answer. The intermediate oxidation number can change into the more stable oxidation number by increasing and decreasing the oxidation number in oxidation and reduction reactions. That's why the nitrogen phosphorus having this ability. Arsenic, antimony and bismuth, the lower oxidation number become more and more stable down the group because of as same inert pair effect. Inert pair effect that actually increases down the group. So class, this is all about the last lecture what we had discussion yesterday. Let's add some more concept in the same area about atomic size. Atomic size, so we are actually calling for atomic size according to the covalent size and ionic size. Covalent size and ionic size. There is no any exception in covalent size, because as we move down the group, due to increase our number of cells, covalent size will increase. But what about the ionic size? What about the ionic size? Actually, ionic size from nitrogen to arsenic first increases, then decrease to antimony, then again increase to bismuth. The interesting fact is from nitrogen to arsenic increases first, then will decrease to antimony, then again increase. We have to be learn why the arsenic, antimony and bismuth having a low ionic size than nitrogen, phosphorus and arsenic. Actually, this is because of the different types of ions formed by these elements. The above three elements form a negative ion called anion, which actually having a larger size than cation. Antimony and bismuth having tendency to form cationic size. So look at the size. Nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, so look at the size, the trend of size The trend top side actually decreases to antimony and bismuth because of the cation. Cations are always smaller than anions. In anion, as the number of negative charge increases, size increases. So when we move down the group, due to increase of number of cells, you can see the size increases from nitrogen to arsenic. But in the case of antimony, the smaller size is because of the formation of that cation. The antimony form a trivalent cation, due to which the size rapidly decrease. But when we move from antimony to bismuth, because of the same sign, same charge, due to increase of cell, the size again increases. So exceptional pair is actually based on cationic and anionic size. That is the concept in ionic size. In covalent size, no exceptional requirement. The next property is about ionization enthalpy. As usual, ionization enthalpy actually depends upon the here depends upon the size fluctuation. Class, you have to be learn it. If nitrogen to bismuth elements require to remove an electron from isolated gaseous atom, the amount of energy required is called ionization enthalpy. So as we move down the group, atomic size increases. We are not discussing about ionic size. Atomic size, the covalent size increases. That's why there is a gradual decrease of ionization enthalpy from nitrogen to bismuth. From nitrogen to bismuth, a gradual decrease of ionization enthalpy. But the antimony and bismuth having some low ionization enthalpy as expected from the data. As expected, the ionization enthalpy become some more less in antimony and bismuth due to there is a poor screening of the nucleus to outer electron. A poor screening causes electron can be easily removed from the p subcells. Not S, I'm not talking about S subcell, from the p subcells. So there is no any exceptional pair. Ionization enthalpy decreases down the group. Electronegativity also decreases because it is a tendency to attract the electronic density towards itself in covalent bond. So as expected value, nitrogen has highest electronegativity. The value is 3 according to Pauling scale. A Pauling scale actually gives a data of electronegativity based on the tendency of dissociation of bonds of any element in their molecules. So according to that data, nitrogen has highest electronegativity among these elements, and moving down the group, the value decreases from 3 to 1.9. I think that is the expected value, about 1.9 from bismuth. This is some important periodical trend, but we have to discuss some more important concept from the same group that is actually necessary to learn from the chapter, that is called the anomalous behavior of nitrogen. So let's enter in the next topic. The anomalous behavior. The anomalous behavior of nitrogen. Class, look. The anomalous behavior is actually the anomalous behavior actually based on some factors. If you are knowing the factor, you can decide the anomalous behavior of the element. You can decide the anomalous behavior of the elements. And the factors are, look at the factor first. Factors are small size, high charge density, high charge density, small size, high charge density, absence of p orbitals, high electronegativity, there are four really factors, important factor that decide the anomalous behavior of any element from the periodic table, any element. And look, these four factors actually generally govern the anomalous behavior of second period elements. All second period elements, which are also called representative elements of their groups, actually having these four factors. They are small in size, they are having a high charge density because of the smaller volume and more charge. They are having high charge density, absence of d orbitals in the all second period elements, and they are high electronegative compared to the other member of the same group. So these four factors conventionally decide the all anomalous behavior of the element present in the second period as nitrogen is. As nitrogen is, we have to be learned why nitrogen, what behaviors having this nitrogen which are not present in the other members, So let us start about the first property, that is called atomicity. Atomicity. Actually, nitrogen is diatomic. Like N2. But phosphorus is tetraatomic. Phosphorus is tetraatomic molecule. The other members are also, the bismuth has the metallic structure, the metallic lattice, but phosphorus, arsenic and antimony, these three elements doesn't form the diatomic, but nitrogen is diatomic. We have to discuss why nitrogen is diatomic. Why the atomicity of nitrogen is 2. This is because of p-pi bond formation. Look at the sentence, p-pi bond formation. Actually, the nitrogen in its molecule, and with the other members like a nitrogen dioxide, with the oxygen, with the phosphorus, or with the other members, nitrogen actually form a p-pi bonding, a pi bond which involve only p orbitals. A pi bond which involve only a p orbitals. So because of availability of pi orbitals, that is called a p subcells orbitals. They are actually formed p-pi orbitals, and the other factor is due to small size and high charge density, the nitrogen can easily hybridize the the other element orbital with its p orbital. Class, it is very necessary to learn the multiple bond formation is actually based on the high intensity of the hybridization of any element. If any element having a high intensity to hybridize the other orbitals, they can form a multiple bond like oxygen, like a nitrogen. But as we move down the group, the electronic density become distorted. The electronic density become distorted, which decrease the tendency of formation of multiple bond. So first you have to learn nitrogen has most tendency to form multiple bond than phosphorus. Other thing is, if phosphorus will form multiple bond, it will involve the p orbitals and called p pi orbitals. It is called p pi orbitals. So phosphorus is actually used d orbitals as well as p orbitals in the pi bond formation, but nitrogen only use pi orbitals from p orbitals because of unavailability, because of absence of d orbitals. And this will increase, listen carefully, if p orbitals involved in a multiple bond formation, the bond dissociation enthalpy will be high. P orbitals involved in the pi bond formation, then bond dissociation enthalpy will be high, because d orbital is more distorted than p orbitals. So multiple bond due to d orbital is actually less stable, low bond enthalpy than p orbitals. And this is the reason why nitrogen is almost inert. We have been inert at room temperature. The nitrogen act like an inert gas at room temperature. You learn from the class 10th, nitrogen gas filled in the food packets to prevent that rancidity process. Have you learned? The rancidity process is prevented by filling of nitrogen gas in the food packets like chips and kurkures. Because of the inertness of that nitrogen, look at the value, look at the bond enthalpy value, 941, point something kilojoule per mole. About 941 kilojoule per mole bond enthalpy that nitrogen gas is having. At room temperature, this is not easy to break that bond, and that's why nitrogen is inert. So we have two anomalous behavior here. First, the atomicity is 2. The bond enthalpy is very high. The formation of only p pi type bond, but phosphorus can form p pi d pi bond. There are some anomalous behavior we are actually going to study. Let's study one more important thing. That is very important. A single bond. Single nitrogen bond. Look at the case. Even nitrogen is inert. Even nitrogen is more stable than phosphorus at room temperature, but the single nitrogen bond is low stable than phosphorus single bond. This is the most anomalous behavior. As whole nitrogen is more stable. As whole the nitrogen having p pi bond, high bond enthalpy, okay, fine. But if we are comparing a single bond, the nitrogen single bond is less stable, a low bond enthalpy than phosphorus single bond, due to high electronic interaction, there is actually electronic repulsion due to small size, nitrogen. Due to small size, there is a repulsion force acting on nitrogen atom that actually break the bond, that unstable the bond, that make to unstable the bond of nitrogen. So nitrogen single bond is less stable than phosphorus single bond because of high repulsion of electronic density present in a lone pair. This is also anomalous behavior of nitrogen other than the rest of the members of the same group. So atomicity, p pi bond formation, high bond enthalpy, stability, and this single bond character, these are some anomalous behavior of the nitrogen which are not present in the other members of the group. So I am concluding my lecture here only. We'll discuss some more property. We'll discuss some more property of the same group from the next lecture. Actually, there are the property, the reactivity of the group towards hydrogen, towards oxygen, towards halogen, towards metals. We have to be study one by one all the reactivity trends of the group, and these are the some most important topic we are having in the P block. So first conclude your concepts here, and if there will be any concept remain unresolved, try to ask me. So can we talk on the topics? So class, I am concluding my lecture here only, and we'll discuss tomorrow. Okay, thank you.